Hi loves, I hope you're all doing well. I hope that June treated you well and not too much has been exposed or, broken down with so many more planets motioning retrograde. But let me know in the comments down below what word kind of really summed up June for you. Okay, so obviously the style of this reading is not how I even imagined. Now that, my chart isn't so vigorously activated, I should be able to do normal horoscopes starting next month. So I hope that this podcast style reading is okay for you. So essentially, obviously, we're going to just walk through. I'm going to be walking you through the month of July, touching on the astrology, my own intuitive insights for the month for your personal sign. Check your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. When it comes to the astrology, I feel, well, it depends. I'm not going to tell you what to do. So definitely there is this feeling in July about feeling exposed, right? We're still in eclipse transition season, right? So we're still in this transitional phase as we're wrapping up and finalizing the karmic build-up of Cancer Capricorn while embarking upon the abundant and exuberance of Gemini Sagittarius eclipses, right? So whenever the nodes dealing with fate and karma reach those last few degrees of a sign and the beginning degrees of a sign, this is like potent energy, okay? And it really can give that vibe of exposure. It's like cracking an egg open to reveal the goo inside, right? Once Pandora's box has been opened, it's impossible to, shut it away. After all, you can't uncrack an egg, right? So the planetary vibes for this month. So as we begin, and I like to look at, sunrise and kind of like where the planets are to really get a tone or a notion as to what this month can bring. And July 1st, we have the sun in Cancer pressing up upon, Mercury retrograde, okay? With the moon, the ruler of the sun, okay, the ruler of the chart, really, like the moon is in Scorpio and it's opposing Uranus. So when we're having Scorpio Uranus vibes, this is again a very expository vibe that we're experiencing, right? Mercury is still going to be retrograde until July 12th in the sign of Cancer, and when Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Cancer, we can find ourselves even exposing ourselves, exposing things from the past. Now usually in true Mercury fashion, it happens accidentally. The past gets brought up and then it gets dragged out into the open, and we discover things that we discover something and we kind of are faced with remembering it in a way that actualizes what really actually happened. So words like accountability are really strong for the month of July, especially, when we're looking at Saturn re-emerging back into the sign of Capricorn to join with Pluto and Jupiter for the new moon, okay, that's going to happen at the latter degrees of Cancer towards the end of the month. But Mercury is the messenger, okay? He travels between realms to get you the information that you need, okay? Mercury retrograde in Cancer unveils the part of you that needs to be heard, the part of you that needs to be healed, okay? So Cancer deals with things that, weigh heavy on our hearts. Emotions tend to be heightened, repressed memories resurface. There are memories and themes surrounding that sense of belonging, childhood, and the past, right? The inner child is almost throwing a tantrum with all of this energy and all of this, stuff that is being projected onto Cancer right now as we're wrapping up a big cycle. Things don't go to plan, and it can make you feel like a child again, feeling completely out of control, feeling controlless. And, the thing is, right, we have to remember Mars is in Aries, okay? This is crucial that we remember we can only control ourselves. We do not get to control the way that other people respond to us, our emotions, our actions, our thoughts, our feelings. We don't get to control that, okay? So July really is about owning up and showing up for yourself. It's about listening and hearing what you've not allowed, you've not allowed yourself to hear before. It's about owning all that you are, not just the parts of you that you feel are or will be deemed worthy. July can expose themes around parenthood and acknowledging the parts of us that are not necessarily our own, but have been imprinted upon us with, the generational patterns that are passed on through us, from our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents and those early life experiences, because when a baby comes in, a baby isn't born racist, a baby isn't born with hate in its heart, a baby isn't born selfish, a baby isn't born any of these things. A baby, for the first 7 years of your life, you learn and you imitate and you imprint like a psychic sponge, Cancer sponge, right? You kind of, you take on, the karmas and the stuff of, your parents, because they are your first understanding of the world. And, so it's kind of like your past influence forges who you are, but your responding actions or reactions, that's all you right now, right? Because I'm sure nobody listening to this is a child, right? So nobody is to blame for what you do but you. Okay, so with many planets that are in retrograde this month, okay, we're being forced to look back, way back, and to right and heal the wrongs that have been made and have been done, right? Because Cancer, Capricorn eclipses, they only come about every 18 years. And the cycle is even more significant because we have planets that have been together, they haven't been together for hundreds of years, and now they're coming back in. So it's bringing those karmas from that time period of when they were together last, which is big, which is why big stuff is happening right now. It has to happen. It has to feel uncomfortable. It has to feel these ickiness, right? It has to feel this way, uncomfortable, in order to pave the way for change, right? Because nothing new can be built on something old. You have to destroy it, right? You have to destroy what was once there in order to rebuild. Otherwise you have, you end up with root rot and stuff that will just it's just not good, right? So we can definitely clearly see, looking at the astrology, that there is an imbalance with power dynamics, right? Saturn, when it was in Aquarius, obviously it will enter back into Aquarius permanently in December again. But we, the people are realizing power lies within us all along, right? The people that we elect, into positions of power, fame, and influence are only there because we put them there. With support, with attention, with our money, with purchases. And as quick as we give our time, our energy, and our money, we can decide not to. And the only person that you can control, again, this is a Mars and Aries issue, is you, right? You need to not only speak your standard, but you need to live it. You need to also take action upon it. You can't hide from yourself right now. That is literally impossible with the planetary energy that's going on. And people around you, we're all seeing people for who they really are, and if you live in your authenticity, there's nothing to fear because you're not hiding from the shadow of yourself, right? You're not hiding from yourself. But those who live in the realm of make-believe and are consumed by the external, and there is no judgment. I don't say that with judgment in my heart, not at all. Everything happens for a reason. It's a part of your life experience and your life journey. But living in the Neptunian realms of social media, it can be a time where that mask will slip because literally everything is recorded. Everything, there are receipts, right? There's receipts for everything. And we're going to see an uprise in those receipts. When it comes to those things. And a lot of it is bringing the past back up. The past is being resurrected, with that Pluto looking at that new moon, a lot of those things are coming back to the surface. So as I said, okay, July has this element of a continual exposure. And I sense that the information, correspondences and miscommunications are still highly likely for the month of July, but the central vibe is in and surrounding change, okay? Sudden and unexpected, out of the box, shocking stuff coming to light this month. So whatever is revealed, it will alter everything for you. you know. So once you know something, once you learn something, it's like a domino effect in your brain, right? Everything starts to get rewired in a sense. So it can change your home, it can change your family dynamics, it can change your beliefs about someone or something. It can even change or bring about a change in about, you know, your careers or your ambitions as a result of the events that unfold in July. You might discover or learn or explore something that changes things for you. But honestly, like, what I'm seeing is a flip on the script that is your life, be it in love, home, work, or even yourself somehow. But I also have to add that whatever happens is somehow supposed to happen. There's a touch of destiny about it. The nodes are involved, destiny is upon us, right? So I know some of the things that I've already mentioned about July, if you've made it this far into the reading, they can seem a little bit triggering. I only tell you what I see and what I sense, and I assure you that there's a lot here that is aligning you to your purpose this month. Sometimes shocking events need to happen to trigger us into action, to make the change, to move and shake things up. And a lot of what I feel will build, and perhaps it might not even culminate until we get into November this year. But significant things are happening in July to inspire action and change. So, you know, whatever you wanted, you know, you might decide this month that you don't want it anymore. Mercury goes direct, and, you know, so, you know, if you have been making bad choices, falling back into past behaviors, habits, relationships, etc., right? You might, in the second part of this month, discover nothing's actually changed at all. And those old problems, they're all still there. Now, I do have a link in the information box below if you want to check out more about your personal Mercury retrograde transit. But now let's move on to the month of July, right? If you would like me to, you know, look at all of this for you in a personal session, feel free to check out my services. I will also leave a link in the cards and in the information box below. Hi Aries, suns, moons and rising signs. Okay, so what I see for you for the month of July is a lot of big career choices that you need to make. Like, you're literally finding yourself at a crossroads, right? There might have been some back and forth when it comes to matters of career, matters of work, matters of your duty, your status, your obligations to society, wherever you contribute. You know, which most people, it's that they contribute through their careers, through their work, right? So I do feel like you're at this crossroads point, and the trouble is if you've been somebody who has been neglecting yourself, okay, whether that is physically, mentally, emotionally, or otherwise, you might not have a clear understanding as to where you want to go, right? You don't have that clear outline of where you want to go. And if you do, you might have not been taking action upon those things, right? We have Neptune that's retrograde. It's retrograding in your 12th house, okay, which can create a lot of confusion. Whenever a planet goes retrograde, it's like that filter or that barrier or the lid isn't there anymore. Everything is processing, everything is felt internally, which is a fantastic time in terms of like manifestation, but there's a lot of inner work that needs to happen, because you can wish and you can want, but if you're not taking action, you know, you're not going to create the change that you want to see for yourself. So I do feel like there could be some conflict or some choices when it comes to your commitments, right? Clauses within contracts, making sure that you have and you know what your rights are, because I feel like there is some sort of a hiccup or a delay, especially if you've signed contracts throughout the Mercury retrograde period, because Mercury is still going to be retrograde until I think July 12th. And obviously it went retrograde back in June. So if you've signed contracts up in June, you know, when Mercury goes direct, you know, we can kind of find ourselves kind of really questioning those choices and those decisions, because it seems so easy to go back to something, right? And I think I might have mentioned this in either June or May, but I said something about, you know, it's kind of like the grass is greener, and it's almost like you've been chipping and changing perhaps your career, and this is because you've had a lot of planets going forward direct, you know, like retrograde and then direct. And because everything's like retrograding, it could have found you, you know, going back to an old position, going back to an old job or an old project or something. And now that obviously when Mercury goes direct again, it just kind of makes you re-question these things, because right now in your life, okay, really deep matters are coming up for re-evaluation, and you can no longer hide how it is that you feel. You know, it's almost like you've been wearing a mask. I mean, Aries, you're a warrior, right? You're a warrior, and Mars is coming back into your sign, and Mars doesn't hide who he is. He's not an assassin, okay? That's more Scorpio energy, right? Because Mars rules both Scorpio and Aries, you. And so Mars is like this brutal force. He is a Martian. He's a soldier. He is the hired gun, right? He's not the assassin. You know when Mars is coming, when Mars is in Aries and he's in your sign, and he's here for you to, it's kind of like energizing you, making you more motivated, making you more kind of driven towards the things that you actually want for yourself in your life, right? And so there's these big questions, these big decisions that need to be made, because there is going to be obviously a new moon happening around, obviously we have the eclipse happening on the 5th, I believe. It would help if I had all my dates ready when I press film. So yes, we have a new moon July 20th happening at the end tail of Cancer, and I think I mentioned this either in the introduction or I've mentioned it so many times elsewhere, but whenever you get like new moons, full moons, eclipses, or the big major planets like Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, when they reach those final degrees, you know, when they reach like the last decan, but more like the last 5, 6, 7 degrees of a sign, and then the beginning kind of 3 degrees of a sign, this is powerful energy. You're going to feel a literal shift in your life. And because obviously the new moon is challenging, it's kind of like planting seeds for something, right? Because the new moon is the seed is being sown, and obviously how that, you know, manifests, as it will manifest throughout into July, is going to be entirely dependent upon your actions, your decisions, you know, because I feel like there is still a lot kind of weighing heavy on your heart, Aries. You know, you tend to be the kind of person who just kind of soldiers on. You're guarding that sensitivity point, because it's almost like, obviously you're ruled by Mars, right? Emotions to a soldier is weakness. He needs to be, you know, focused on target. He needs to, you know, he's kind of practiced the action steps to what needs to happen, to the point where there is no room for error. That is what happens, right? You go out on a mission, you accomplish that mission, and you know, so sometimes it can feel, Aries, is like you're neglecting the other parts of you, the emotional parts of you, because when we've got eclipses, okay, and this is the final eclipse that you're going to experience for, you know, the next 18 years in the sign of Capricorn, and then at the end of June we also had like the mid-end of June, we had the other eclipse happening in the sign of Cancer. This is wrapping up a huge karmic cycle for you. So where, like, for the past kind of year and a half, you've had this tug of war between, you know, your duties, your obligations, your responsibilities to the family and the home dynamics, and then also like your career, your desires, you know, what it is that you actually want to contribute, what it is that you want to do for yourself, for your life, you know, moving forward. And so, you know, this month is very much asking you to tap into that emotional center. You can't hide how you feel anymore, and you have to make a decision that is good for all parties included, right? You need to really examine, you know, what it is that you want for yourself. And, you know, with Mars going through Aries, and Mars is going to be here for like the rest of the year, you know, you can overcome the obstacles and the challenges, but you also have to kind of not get in your own way when it comes to going after what it is that you actually want, right? I also feel like as well, obviously matters of home are going to be intensified, okay? You have Saturn, you have Pluto, you have Jupiter, all going to be aspecting this this Cancerian vibe, and this is going to be building pretty much as we get into July, right? With that new moon happening in Cancer at that very potent, you know, the last few degrees of Cancer, looking directly at Saturn, you know, it can bring, like, I mean, when you think about Saturn, Saturn can in some ways, you know, it deals with karma, it deals with, you know, especially because it's also going to be conjuncting and conjoining with Pluto. It's going to expose something. It's going to bring something out. So, and with Mercury retrograde until the 12th, you know, if things are broken in your house, see to those things, because those things can massively, you know, turn into big problems for you. But that being said, I do feel like the highlight of this month is in and surrounding in connecting with yourself. I feel like you need to, you know, take some time out of your usual schedule, your usual life, to really get clear, get honest with yourself, right? Get honest with yourself, with what matters most to you, and trying to find a balance between, you know, family obligations and, you know, your career. You know, there needs to be some sort of harmony or balance, because, you know, with the nodal shift, obviously, that has now happened, because the next year and a half, it could very well be, you know, if you're this kind of person that's like, well, I've been doing this thing for like forever, this is what I'm good at, this is what I know how to do, you know, with the North Node moving through, you know, that third house for you, this is a fantastic time for you to build new skills, to learn new things, to meet new people, to expand in your horizons, you know, because there are more opportunities around than you even can realize. And with the South Node now moving through the 9th house, you know, you're going to be able to release the old beliefs, release limited patterns, release the old vision that you have for yourself, right? This is a great time for deep spiritual kind of exploration as well. So hopefully this relates. Thank you so much. If you did like this video, please do give that a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below how June went for you, and I will see you in another video soon.